Hello family, it's Teresa with another video that I'd like to share today. A little message has come into my heart to share this with you, and if you find it useful or in any way a blessing to your life, then it is my honor to share this. So I want to begin by asking a question. And the question is, who are you? So I'll share a story with you, something that happened to me in the Galapagos Islands about 17 years ago, as I was sitting on this cliff listening to the Pacific Ocean slamming into this grotto and then exploding out the other side, and really in a mindlessness kind of a state. And as I was in this state, there was a spirit who took advantage of a brief moment of consciousness, of higher consciousness, to deliver a message to me. Now, normally I do talk to animals, and in the Galapagos, it's really, they're very, very vocal. I have never, there's really only one other place on the planet that I've actually been where the animals are as talkative as they are in the Galapagos. So here comes this little sparrow, and he flew right past my nose, about that far from the tip of my nose, and he startled me. So like I looked down, he landed right by my foot as well. So when I looked down at him, I said, "Oh, you're just a sparrow. It's nothing to be startled about." And with that, he jumped on my tennis shoe and he started chirping, and he continued chirping as he jumped up my leg, and he got all the way to my knee, and he perched there and just kept chirping. And then he stopped. And so at the time it kind of sounded like chirp, 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 and furthermore, chirp, chirp, chirp. And, it was like, pay attention. This is important. So it took me some time to decipher what the sparrow said, but here's what he said. He said, "I am not just a sparrow. I am that bird, I am that bee, I am that butterfly, I am that tree. I am that mountain, I am that sea. I am all that ever was and all that ever will be. Now, what do you see?" So, the sparrow was right. We are infinite consciousness, and we take a form. We come down to have an experience in our 3D spacesuits, skin suits. And how do we do this? What's the venue, if you will, right? What's the vehicle? So there's a lot of different ways to explain this, but for the sake of brevity, I'm going to just stick to 3 chakras. The sacral chakra, located in the gut, the heart chakra, located at the heart, and the crown, or wink wink, corona chakra, located up here in the head. And the gut experiences, the heart feels, and the brain thinks. It forms like a holy trinity. When they're fully functional, it's a holy trinity. You have the divine feminine with the divine masculine in that which they give birth to. You've always got that trinity going on. And it's not a question of whether something is created. The only question is what is created. So, trying to keep this brief here, but going back, say, just a couple 100,000 years, there were massive traumas, like the fire and brimstone raining down from Father Sky, fallout of the intergalactic wars that were going on. And then there was also, we had experienced Mother Earth destroying us as well with the floods and the hurricanes and the volcanoes and all kinds of other natural disasters. So that was pretty traumatic to, as a race, be annihilated by your father sky and your Mother Earth. So that got pretty deeply embedded into the field, if you will. Then over the course of, say, going back a couple 100,000 years to, say, more recent times, through various methods and modalities, the heart was sort of seized up as well. So then we find ourselves in modern times, as they say, whatever that means. It's kind of stuck or relegated into just using the crown chakra, like we're not connected to that Holy Trinity. We're just sort of like stuck in the brain, and mostly stuck in the left side of the brain, which deals with math and sciences. And the left side is which controls the masculine side of the body, right? So that's your masculine side of the brain. And then your feminine side, which is your right side, controls your feminine side of your body. So how well do those two, masculine, feminine, communicate back and forth? Even within that chakra, you have a trinity going on. And that's the corpus callosum, the one that runs down the middle, separating the two lobes of the brain. So, so that kind of brings a quick history of how we ended up into mostly being stuck in our brains. And it also speaks a lot about this corona crown that they're after. If they take that, then it's essentially, that's bye humanity. But that's not going to happen. So nonetheless, it's important to understand what's going on, and or comprehend, rather, what's going on. Don't stand under anything. Forget that. I did not say understand. Okay, just erase that. We don't stand under, we comprehend. We stand under nothing. We are the co-creators of our reality. But, like the Sparrow said, what do you see? What do you believe? Right? What we believe is what we create. Very simple. Now, there are quite a few of us, myself included, at sometimes I catch myself saying, I need to see it to believe it. And then I go, wrong. Scratch that. No, we need to believe it to see it. It has to be seen in the mind's eye, the eye of Horus, the pineal gland, the center of the brain, in the crown chakra, the corona chakra. That's where it has to be first imprinted, is in the imagination. And then after that, we can see it manifested in the 3D for our eyeballs to take a picture of it, basically. But for those of us who are having troubles uninstalling that program, let me share with you some I believe hopeful, good news, however you want to say that, encouraging news, that actually we need to believe it to see it. So this coronavirus scam, in Italy, one of the first places to lock down, they're suffering tremendously. So they're sort of being pushed along this evolutionary path. They've been pushed along the evolutionary path for a little bit longer than, say, we have done in the United States or Canada or Mexico or anywhere south of the equator. It's sort of moving from north to south, if you notice this, on the western side of the hemisphere anyhow. And so Italy is now more inclined to change their belief systems. They're more inclined now to start questioning what it is that they believe. And as such, they, meaning the Italians, the people, the mass of consciousness, is out there, and they're researching, and they're listening to like videos such as mine, like the Corona game, or other people that have put out their own stuff. The real experts, the real medical experts are putting stuff out. Whistleblowers are coming out. Conspiracies are being exposed. So as this spreads, right, then the perception changes. And as the perception of the mass consciousness changes, that gets projected into the unified field. And then everybody that's a part of that unified field, including the parliament members, even those that are primarily AI mind-controlled Manchurian candidates, heavily infected with artificial intelligence, typically, even they are starting to say, we need to arrest Bill Gates and question him for crimes against humanity, right? Rock on, Italy. Love you for that. Keep it up. And now moving south down to the North American continent, we have the Trump card. That's what I like to call him, because he is quite the joker, you know, and he is the actor on our stage right now that can be that joker, that can be that Trump card. If we understand the nature of the game that's being played, we can play our Trump card to fashion a different reality other than the one that the cabal is clearly drawing pictures, showing us this is what it's going to look like. You know, Minority Report, 1984, The Hunger Games, Brave New World, all these things that are projected into our minds. They're showing us what, you know, digital IDs, you know, can't, you know, do anything without the mark of the beast, you know. It's not a reality I don't believe that the human race really wants to experience. So only when pushed into that, like that we're really changing our belief system. So what did the Trump card do? He defunded, this is what I understand anyhow, or rather I comprehend. I don't stand under anything in my reality. But from my understanding in this case, or my comprehension of what's being reported, is that the Trump card has defunded, is withdrawn funding from the WHO. And this is something I've been regurgitating, like spitting this out every day. Quarantine and censor, freeze assets, lock down their accounts, and stop the funding. I have been repeating that over and over and over. Well, guess what? The Trump card repeated what I was putting out there by withdrawing the funding from the World Health Organization. Now that's, what does that mean? That's going to mean for Bill Gates, instead of investing, say, $100 billion, which he's invested more than that, but let's just say $100 billion, because that's easy to work with, those of us who had public school math. So there's his investment, $100 billion. Now if he can sell a vaccine to 7 billion people on the earth, and he can charge $10 a vaccine, well then you see his profit margin there, right? He's going to invest 100 billion, but he's going to make 700 billion. Well, now that the US withdraws the funding from the WHO, and they don't have that funding to spread their propaganda, Bill Gates is going to have to pour more of his capital into his investment. And he'll do so, I believe, because he'll still crunch the numbers and think that, you know, it'll still be profitable for him to attempt the execution or the genocide of the human race. I don't believe he'll be successful, however, because humanity is waking up and it's reconnecting its Holy Trinity and choosing, making better decisions now. We also see evidence of the actors on our stage being influenced by what's in the unified field of consciousness, because you now see CDC and the World Health Organization and all these other so-called experts, they're pulling back their estimates and saying, no, we were wrong, you know, it's nowhere near as dangerous as we said it was going to be, because they too are trying to maintain an ounce, a modicum of credibility on the world stage. And you see how this belief affects what we see. So keep that up, family. Be careful not to get overly identified with the 3D experience. You are the sacred neutral observer. You are the infinite consciousness, which has come here for an evolutionary growth process. And we cannot grow and evolve when we're in a state of fear. So being overly identified with the 3D experience has a tendency to trip us up, to get us off of our path of our best creative potential, right? And then the last thing I wanted to share with you is that, so the water, we all know the sacred water brings clarity. The sacred water cleanses and heals. It's the first medicine. Without water, there is nothing, no life at all. And so the water is consciousness, and as the shift in consciousness is taking place on humanity, you can rest assured that the external waters are doing the same. And so what we're going to see in the environment with our eyeballs, right, is hurricanes and typhoons and tropical storms, and maybe, just, torrential downpours and stuff like that, because it's the water coming to clear and cleanse. There's also the water that's in our tears. There's going to be a lot of tears shed. A lot of tears are going to be shed this year. That too is cleansing and healing. And then the last form of water, rather, is the blood, because that's what the water represents in our bodies, is the blood. And the blood shed is going to be, there's going to be some bloodshed. It's just part and parcel of the course, and it's all in divine order, and we just must, well, we don't have to do anything, but like if it was me, and I would want to focus on the bigger picture, like, not get caught up in this bloodshed and trauma and whatever is going to transpire, but rather to realize that that is just a necessary stage of our evolutionary growth. And that when we come out on the other side, it's going to be amazing. You cannot hardly begin to see. Maybe you can, though. I want you to see. Please, family, believe that. And as I speak, here comes the water, Believe that. Believe that the water is going to cleanse us and heal us and bring the clarity that we need to make better decisions, and to stop believing what we're told, but rather find the truth within ourselves, connect our Holy Trinity, return to fully functional human status, co-creating the best possible reality, not just for ourselves, but for the 7 future generations. Believe that. This is just a phase we're going through. This too shall pass. And it's really amazing on the other side. Thank you, family, for listening. I hope this has been a blessing to you. And I really encourage you, if you haven't seen my full Corona game series, in part 3, I discuss solutions. And I encourage everybody to, if those solutions resonate with you, to put those in your mind's eye so that we can project this into the unified field and really make it happen. And if my solutions don't resonate with you, that's fine too, family. I still love you, and you still have an imagination, so use it. Envision what you want to see for the future. We don't have to go down by the playbook of the Cabal. We create this reality, and they need us to create it for them. That's why it's so important for them that we believe in them, that we believe in government, we believe in medical experts like Bill Gates and the World Health Organization and the Center for Disease Creation and all this other nonsense. So as we change our belief systems, we therefore change our reality. And I'm very excited to see what sort of a reality that we are creating. Thank you for your participation and your facilitation in this shift in consciousness, family. You are powerful. And I'm grateful for you, and I love you very much. Namaste. Ciao for now.